ourselves. We are here at the other side of the river of Porto, and you see we are at the coastline. And then 100 kilometers far away from here starts the Douro Valley that goes till Spain. So this entire rectangle is the Douro Valley represented here bigger. And if you see this green line, this is a demarcation. This demarcation was done in 1756 by the Premier Minister of the King of Portugal back then. So it makes it the oldest demarcated and regulated wine region in the world. It's an older wine region than Champagne, for example, considering that we already had specific laws protecting viticulture practices and also how the wine should age in the cellars in Vila Nova de Gaia. In total, we have almost 250,000 hectares of land, but only 42,000 hectares of vine. So they are very spaced out, the vines, all right? And then very different is the climate here, that we consider it to be more continental and Mediterranean, because before the wine region, if you see these white patches, they represent a big mountain chain, and they are parallel to the ocean. So they act as a barrier. They protect the wine region from the Atlantic winds. And it translates in having here very hot and dry summers, where you can have sometimes 45 degrees Celsius just in the shadow, more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it gets like desert hot. While in the winter we can have negative temperatures, and in some years we even have snowfall on the mountain hills. Portuguese people from the villages here, they will tell you that they have 9 months of winter and 3 months of hell. In Portuguese it rhymes, it's like an expression, but it reflects the reality that the gap from temperature from one season to another is quite big and aggressive. And considering that we have a lot of drought and heat waves, with these gaps, it means we will have small grapes, but very thick skin. So a lot of color extraction, intense aromas, and more residual sugar. This is all the good stuff you want for good quality wines. Whenever you have, in terms of geography, a place with harsh climate conditions like poor soils in terms of organic life and a lot of heat, for wine it's going to be interesting because the vines suffer, and you will get the good stuff in the fruit. And yeah, all of our vineyards are of course within the demarcated area. So whenever you see the word quinta, this means vineyard or winery in Portuguese. And we have then the vineyard of Malvedos. Some of you will have a vintage port of this state. If you chose the pairing, tasting, or the port essentials, you will have a port wine specifically just from this state. Then we also have the vineyard of Tua, Vila Velha, Lages, and Valdemelhado. So all these 5, they just produce 4 grapes. They make our style. And also, not to turn it into a history lesson, but a little bit of a background of our brand. We were founded in 1820 by William and John Gray. They don't sound Portuguese names. They were not. They were 2 Scottish brothers. They came from Scotland to Portugal to work in the textile industry first. It was very popular back then. And then they became interested in port and created their own business. And in 1882, Andrew James Sillington came also from Scotland to Portugal and worked as an accountant for the Grahams brothers. And his grandchildren bought Grahams, and since then it's just Symington family owned. We are now in the 5th generation of Symingtons. They were already born in Porto. They live in Porto. They speak the Portuguese language. You see them very often here. Charles Symington, the head winemaker. For me, often enough, they are my bosses, but all right, at least they are very involved in their business. This is nice to see. And Symington also own other port wine houses such as Coburn's, Dow's, Wogs, Quinta do Vesúvio. And then we also produce dry wine with the names of Quinta do Bartari and Altano. And in total, we have 27 vineyards across the Douro Valley. So we are the biggest port wine producers. Not in terms of what we export. I believe Porto Cruz, Sandoman, they have bigger numbers, but in terms of what we own of land, we are the biggest ones. This allows us to work with universities together to do research, and we are pioneers in sustainable viticulture. We have the responsibility in protecting fauna and flora if we want to maintain the production of quality wines in the future. So we have amazing techniques to provide shadow to the vines, to irrigate drop by drop system in a very conscious way. So this is amazing to see the efforts that Symington is doing in this regards. But yeah, to understand a little bit the climate and the terroir of this beautiful wine